Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here today at Thriving Through Cancer. Let me have everybody mute their mics right now. Maybe I'm able to do that from my end. Mute all. There we go. Okay. Thank you. Um, so welcome all today. We have people joining us from all over the world, which is wonderful. It is so exciting, and I'm so grateful you're all here to share this with me. I also want to acknowledge the fact that we have people here from all over the world. And this is telling us that there are so many people everywhere coping with cancer. So I want to take a moment just to honor the fact that you are all here because cancer has touched your life in some way. Either you are dealing with cancer right now, or you're recovering from cancer in the past. We all know, if you've ever had cancer, that once you've had it, it's never completely gone, that your body retains the emotional experience and the physical experience, whether it was your medications and treatment or the impact of the cancer in your body, just the grief or the fear or the anxiety of the life that you had planned for yourself. And I'd like to share a little bit about my story so you understand why I'm here and why I want to share this work with you. So my name is Jennifer Golden. I'm a White Tiger Qigong instructor. I'm also a Pilates instructor, and I teach anatomy and movement for a few decades now. But I'm also living with stage 4 metastatic breast cancer. And my Qigong journey started back when I was about 17 or 18 years old, and I was in school for bodywork. And we learned a simple Qigong practice as a way to ground ourselves and to fill our cups as practitioners. And over the years, I went on to run my own Pilates studio and have 4 children. And there were many times where I turned to my Qigong practice as a way to recenter and draw in some more vitality. Then in 2017, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. It was stage 2, but it had gone to my lymph nodes a little bit by the time that we found it because I was young. I was only 39. I'd never had a mammogram or anything yet. So I didn't even go until I could actually feel something. And over that year, 2017 and 2018, I had chemotherapy, bilateral mastectomy, and radiation. And I continued on the medications afterwards. I do feel lucky that I was already trained as a movement practitioner and I already had a Qigong practice in my life because I used those practices to restore my movement. Any of you that have had this experience, the scar tissue can be so limiting and it can feel so discouraging, but I used this kind of practice as a way to bring my movement back. And then when COVID came around, I was at home and I thought, maybe it's a time to actually really dive in and get officially certified. I've been practicing for 20 years already. I'd taken Qigong courses with many master teachers around the world. And then I researched and I found White Tiger Qigong, which really impressed me because it is such a merge of modern science with this ancient tradition. And I knew that that's how I wanted to practice. So, as I was very dedicated in my practice and feeling so in tune with my body, I began to notice that something didn't feel right in my upper spine. And I thought maybe I was doing some martial arts, like some boxing, I was doing pretty intense yoga, I was doing Pilates. I thought I had maybe a muscle injury, but when I would do my qigong work, I just felt like something is wrong. There's something going on there. It's not right. And so I told my doctor, and she was great. She said, let's go get an x-ray. I had the x-ray, and it didn't show anything. No issues on the x-ray at all. But I kept doing my Qigong, and I just kept getting this strong sense from my body awareness that, no, something is up, something is up. And so I continued with my doctor, and she offered for me to go and have more scans, have bone scan. And we came to discover that I did have stage 4 cancer and that there were tumors through my spine from my neck all the way down, all my upper vertebrae in my low back, in my hip, in my thigh bone, and in my ribs. And it was stage 4. Stage 4 is incurable. So maybe some of you have been through this experience before, and your entire life changes. You look back on it now, and from where I'm sitting now, and I think that was the moment of transformation. That was the moment that my life had purpose. Because the moment someone tells you, you've got a terminal cancer, you realize everybody's terminal. I'm sorry to say it, right? Everybody's terminal. Part of the acceptance of living is the acceptance of dying. And part of our Taoist practice is understanding these polarities. There is no life without the awareness of death. So the moment someone says to you, hey, you might die, it's an opportunity to really feel alive. And I took that motivation. I took the power that that gave me, and I went deep into my Qigong practice, and I focused on healing my body. And I will tell you now, when I look at my scans, there is not a single bit of cancer showing up in my scans at all. Nothing. Now, I'm doing conventional treatment too. Don't get me wrong. I'm also doing the conventional treatment, but I'm leaning on the conventional medicine. I won't call it conventional because it depends what the convention is. Allopathic medicine, the type of medicine that we have here in the West for cancer. I'm leaning on that to manage reducing the cancer cells, to killing the cancer. But it's up to me to heal my body from the cancer itself and from the side effects of the treatment. And that is what I am so excited to share with you, that these are opportunities to get healthier, stronger, more deeply into your sense of self and purpose than you even were before your cancer diagnosis. So I do want to give maybe a quick opportunity if there are any issues with my technical stuff before I go into sharing some slides with you. Is there anything in the chat here? Anything I need to know about that? Okay, I'm going to jump into my screen share now, and I'm going to start sharing my slides with you. If I can find that option. Here it is. Okay, can I get a little confirmation that we can see that? Is that good for everybody? I figure someone will jump in and tell me if it's not, okay? So here's the class that we're doing today. Let me just jump in here. So over this next hour and a half, I'm going to introduce some key concepts of Qigong and share some cutting edge research that, just give me one moment here. I'm having one little technical problem and I'm not hooked up for my prompter. So I'm gonna have to figure this out here. Sorry about that. Just a moment. And actually, what I wanted to do in this moment before I start sharing all this information with you is actually take a moment for us all to come together. So studies have shown in the past, studies show that coming together in community actually amplifies our healing effects. So I'd like to take a moment for all of us to come together and just breathe. We're going to take 3 cleansing breaths together. Now, when we take a breath in our Qigong practice, I'd like you to think about how we're taking the breath in. Sometimes we try to take a really deep breath and we make it really powerful, and that breath kind of comes in through the nostrils. What I'd like you to think about doing is actually soften the nostrils and feel like the breath seeps in, more like you're saturating a sponge where it slowly seeps in to all your cells. And then our exhale that we're going to use, we're going to exhale through a pinhole of the lips. And we're going to exhale for about 1.5 to 2 times longer than our inhale. So if you'd like to, you can close your eyes and breathe in a slow, gentle breath without any tension in the body. Breathe in gratitude for showing up for yourself and for each other today. And as you breathe out any distractions on your mind that can be saved for later. And again, breathe in a slow, gentle, saturating breath, filling all the way to your fingers and toes, every cell. And breathe out, cleansing through your lips any tension in the body. One more deep breath. As you breathe in, we're purifying your body and your spirit. And breathe out anything else you want to let go of today. And for today's agenda, here are the things I'd like to get through with you today. And it's a little ambitious, I admit, but I have a lot I want to share with you because I do want this class to stand alone as a set of things you can do for immediate help. But this is an introductory class, and I'm giving you an overview of some of the things that we're hoping to offer as we continue into some more classes in the future. We are planning a 3-part series of workshops similar to this. So each of the topics I work on today will be expanded in greater detail in those future classes. So we'll discuss what is Qigong. We will discuss the research and benefits for cancer support. We will discuss some 5-element theory, and I will share with you how to get started with the Qigong practice and how to start to integrate these principles into your life. So here we go. What is Qigong? Qigong is an energy cultivation practice. It's the practice of aligning breath, movement, and intention to cultivate and direct our life force energy. So the word Qigong, let's break that down a little bit. The word Qi translates to breath or vapor. Qi is our life force energy. It's an electromagnetic force that exists in all things in nature. So the qi that's all around us everywhere, that's the electromagnetic force. The qi in our body, the qi in a living thing is considered bioelectromagnetic. So I'd like to think about qi, the way I like to describe it is sort of like the internet, right? The internet, all the information in the world is everywhere all the time right now. At any moment, I could look up when was the Eiffel Tower built or what's Al Pacino's birthday, whatever it is, any random thing I want to know. I could find that out if I know how to ask the right question and I have the right device prepared to download the answer. Qigong is the same thing. The qi is everywhere. The energy is everywhere, all the time, available, free energy. The practice of Qigong teaches you how to pair your device, which might be your energy centers, your organs, your meridians, your whole body, your spirit, your heart, to pair your device with this universal information. It's an opportunity to come into oneness with all the energy of the universe. So that's the qi part. The gong part, that translates to work. But the qigong gong is more like consistent work. It's cultivation or refinement. So our qigong is a practice that helps to regulate the nervous system, to balance emotions, and to strengthen the body's natural healing mechanisms, to refine our work with the universal energy. You'll have to forgive my challenge right here with my device. I'm jumping through my slides like crazy, and now everything's gone haywire. I am so sorry here, folks. Are you seeing random things on my screen right now? Micah, can you speak to me to that? You're still only seeing my slides?
I can see your slides.
That's great. The problem is now I'm several slides ahead, and I'm seeing the weather, and I can't make it go away. Here we go. I've got the weather Sorry, people. This is just very bothersome right now. I do need help. Thank you.
I can
You guys are
see
getting a preview
slides.
of my slides. Forgive me. You're getting a little cameo of my, I don't know how that came up. I don't know why it came up.
At the bottom of my screen, I see some arrows when I hover at the bottom. Do you see those?
The problem is I did, and now they're gone.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. Now we'll go all the way back. Thanks, guys. Thank you for your patience. I'm going to add this, and perhaps you guys understand this. One of the most persistent side effects of cancer treatment is brain fog. So I try to be patient with myself and laugh it off. And hopefully you guys can also be patient with me and laugh it off as well. So let's go on to our next slide here. We're going to begin talking about the 5 elements. So Chinese medical theory is rooted in observing nature's patterns. Just like nature seeks harmony, day balances night, the seasons shift to maintain equilibrium, our bodies work the same way. So imbalances or disharmony in our relationship to our outer environment, like toxins or germs, or the relationships to our inner environment, like the way our organs relate to each other, or blockages in our energy channels. This is what can cause disease. So a big concept in Chinese medicine, the main concept, is that inner disharmony, inner imbalances, is what causes disease. So our goal when we're practicing from that angle is to create balance and harmony internally, to create an environment that is not welcoming to disease, not welcoming for cancer to grow. And we're going to discuss that today through the 5-element theory. And the 5-element theory explains through the relationships of nature, the relationship of the elements, it describes the relationship of our organs and our emotions. I think I'd like to say just a little bit more about that. And I think I'll get into that in our next slide here. So this next slide here, there's a lot of information on this slide. And this slide is about our 5 elements. So this chart here that you can see, this is what's called the generating or the nourishing cycle. The heart, which is at the top, that's our fire element. The spleen is our earth element. Lung is metal. Kidney is water. And then liver is wood. Now, what we're working on today, I'm giving you just mostly an overview. This is far more in depth. We have partner organs. So the heart is partnered with the small intestine. As we go through the rest of the classes that I will teach, we'll get into detail here. But right now, the main thing I want you to know is that each of these organs, each of these elements in the organs have an emotion attached. Now, I want to take a second to talk about emotions because part of my background is actually biocultural anthropology. So my interest is how and why humans have come to do the things they do. So we might think about something like if we look at the wood element, the liver is associated with anger. And you might think anger is bad. Anger is a negative emotion. And I don't want us to look at it this way. Anger is a motivating emotion. The kidneys is fear. Fear is a motivating emotion. We need those emotions, but we also need them to flow. We need them to move. In the Chinese medical theory, excess or internalized emotions can damage the organs. So if you're angry all the time, it's going to damage your liver. That's the concept. Now, if your liver is damaged, it might manifest, it might express as anger. So it continues to be a cycle. You hold anger and it damages your liver. Maybe your liver is damaged from chemotherapy and it makes you angry, which then damages your liver, and so on. So I certainly won't say that your emotions gave you cancer. I'm definitely not saying that. But what I absolutely can say that I know is true for myself and for other cancer thrivers that I've worked with is that I can recognize a pattern in myself, in my history of internalizing stresses. And as I continue to talk to you today, we're going to talk about some really cool concepts like psychoneuroimmunology and the nervous system. And so, what we do know is that living in a constant state of imbalanced emotions creates an inner environment where diseases like cancer are more likely to thrive. The five elements, looking at the way that fire nourishes earth and perhaps water nourishes wood, that reflects our body's need for balance. When one element dominates, like if there's too much water, it's going to back up on the earth, or it's going to rot the wood, or it's going to put out the fire. If there's too much of one thing, there's a weakness or an imbalance that occurs. And doing our Qigong balancing helps to restore that harmony in the body. Now let's discuss a little bit about how Qi lives in the body. Qi moves through the body like water moving through a landscape. Our organs act as our reservoirs. The organs are like the lakes and the oceans. They're dense storage wells of Qi. And our meridians, those are like the rivers and the channels. And those are what connect into the outside world. So our meridians, they all extend out to the fingers and the toes, and then they invest into the organs. So if you've ever had acupuncture, that acts on your meridians. So for example, something like the lung meridian comes from the thumb, and the acupuncture channel is going to come up to the chest. So that's the part that's close to the surface that when you drop a needle in, the fascia, the connective tissue where that channel is running through, grasps the needle. But there's an internal channel as well that continues past that point and into the organ itself. So those rivers and channels are a flow. And if there's a dam in one of those rivers or channels, then you will not be nourishing your organ, and you will end up with either like an excess, deficiency, or stagnation in the flow of that energy. Now, outside of our organs and meridians, we have three main energy centers. They're called the dantians. We have the lower one, which is down in the belly, the lower belly. We have the middle dantian, which is the heart center. And we have the upper dantian, which is in the head. And now I'm going to get ahead of myself because there's a slide I had to take out for the sake of time, but I'm going to cheat because I want to share this with you. Our nervous system has this, it's called the vagus nerve, and it's an important part of our nervous system regulation. And it connects our gut, our heart, and our brain. What we've learned from studying this nerve is that we used to think that our signals, our messages go from the brain down to everywhere else. But now we've learned that there's actually as many, if not more, of the signals that go from the organs back to the brain. So they've begun to look as, yes, this is one of our brains, but we have a gut brain as well, and we have a heart brain as well. So I think that's really interesting to think about when we think about the three dantians, that we have energy centers here, which are each acting as a brain, communicating with each other, and sending communication signals to the hormone system in the rest of the body. It's always fun when there's some scientific backing to these ancient traditions and beliefs. So now let's talk a little bit about how we practice Qigong, and then we're going to take a moment to actually experience Qi altogether. So in a Qigong practice, in the simplest of forms, we have what's called the three adjustments. So in every Qigong form you do, you're going to focus on the form, which is aligning the body into precise postures and movements to optimize the flow of energy. And I want to take a moment to talk about form with this group of people who are here. A lot of us, our bodies have been through a lot. And I've had times where, I am not kidding you, picking up a cup of tea, this was impossible. searing, searing pain through my entire spine. I couldn't do anything with my spine. And so I might have thought, I can't do Qigong, I can't do my practice because I have all this damage. And this is part of where this regulation of the body doesn't have to look a certain way. I want you to consider when you're doing your practice, you are doing a regulation and alignment and engagement in your body where it is today. It might feel different today than it did yesterday, might feel different today than it will tomorrow. So the idea of finding your form in any of the exercises is your form right now. That's all. If there's scar tissue, it's going to be hard to have mobility. But I'm letting you know right now that I have worked myself and I've worked with many people who have all kinds of surgeries and has seen tremendous transformation in our fascia. Our scar tissue creates snags in our fascia, which I'm not going to go off and talk about right now because I will run out of time. But I will let you know for sure that in my body and in many people's bodies, I have seen that snags that occur from scar tissue heal and smooth out by sending energy and fluid through our fascial system. Now, the second adjustment is breath. All of the exercises will have a specific way that you breathe. That's the regulation of our inhaling and our exhaling. We just practiced a moment ago a cleansing breath where we took a gentle breath in and we exhaled through the mouth. We exhaled longer than the inhale. Different breath for different purposes. If we want more energy, if we want to bring energy in, we might breathe one way. If we want to calm the body, we might breathe a different way. And then the third part is always regulation of spirit. That is the intention and the guidance of Qi. And as we get further into this information today, you will see just how important and how impactful intention can be. So now I'm going to invite you to join me in a few exercises to experience Qi in action. So you don't have to adjust. I'm not going to adjust my camera. I think I'll be fine if I just stand up for the first part. I'd like us to stand up to do a little shaking, and then we can sit to do the second two parts. If you cannot stand, you can absolutely do your shaking wherever you are. You shake your hips on your seat, you shake your hands. So I'm going to stand up, and I'd love some confirmation that you don't have to see my feet, but can you still see me okay? So the shaking exercise, this is an ancient practice, and it's very simple. All we're going to do is just start shaking. So start with the hands, and I like to think that I'm trying to shake water off my hands. Just begin to get the body moving. And if it's comfortable, you can let your feet start to bounce on the floor. And let some tension go. And let your jaw relax and your hips. And let your low back start to shake. Begin to feel your organs shaking and bouncing. If it's comfortable, you can bring your arms up. Maybe you'll start to feel the energy like a bit of a buzz through your lips, through your tongue. Maybe you shake to one side, to the other side. This is one of my favorite things. I'm famous for saying in the afternoon, when you feel like you want that cup of coffee, you can drink that cup of coffee or you can shake. And really, the shaking gives you a tremendous wake up.
Hey, Jen.
Yeah.
Some in the group are having trouble adjusting the view to see you. Would you be able to take the slide down?
Oh, yes. I'm so sorry. I absolutely can do that. Um, thank you for asking that there. Okay. Yes, I can understand. I was probably very small. And I've got this microphone in the way. But for the next part of exercises, I'll be moving everything. So let's just do a little more shaking now, all together. Now, mind you, this is what my shaking looked like when my spine was really bad. And I took the hands up. So I'm going to sit. You can keep shaking how you want. I'm going to sit, and this is how I shake when I'm in pain or after chemo when shaking makes me nauseous. And I still get treatment every 3 weeks right now as part of my maintenance. So I do have days that I just don't feel very good. Let's slowly bring it to a close and just stop for a moment and allow your hands to rest by your side. And now, without losing your state, come and sit again. You're welcome to keep standing, but the rest of this practice can be done seated. So next we're going to move into a balloon breath. So for this breath, we're going to fill the body with breath in 3 ways. Just checking in right now. After that, can you feel the chi? Can you feel your energy, guys? And part of what I want to rub your hands together while I talk to you so we keep it going. Because part of what I'd like you to experience, sometimes when people think of a Qigong practice, and they think of doing this kind of work, it feels very serious. Good. People are feeling it. It feels very serious. And I would really like for it to feel joyful and fun. I want us to feel joy of being in our body and being embodied and being alive. So there are times to be solemn and serious. But for me, I choose to make the practice feel really light and joyful because that's what I need in my life when I'm coping with cancer. So we're rubbing our hands together, and then I'm going to have you just open your hands, and we're going to play with this a little bit. I want you to feel the magnetic force between your hands as you get a little closer and a little further. You know, not to get too esoteric, but everything's made of energy. Your desk, your chair, everything's made of energy. It's just energy that's been condensed into a packed form. So I'd like you to imagine that as you open your hands, you can feel the expansion of that field. And then as you bring your hands together, you're packing that energy into a ball. And play with that just a couple more times. We're learning how to guide the energy. We're getting an experience, a felt sense of the chi. Now bring your hands lower. So it's over that lower dantian. And as you breathe in and expand your hands, fill the lower belly, fill the middle, and then fill all the way up into your chest. It's like you're filling a balloon. And then as you exhale and the hands start to come together, bring the air out of your chest, out of your ribs, and then pack the belly the same way you're packing your hands. You're condensing the chi. Inhale, fill belly, ribs, chest. And exhale, chest, ribs, belly. I'm going to do this for another minute or so in silence. If you don't feel it yet, don't worry. Little practice and you will. Perhaps as you breathe, it begins to feel more energized. And the sensation between your hands becomes even more electric. It might feel like a pulsing or like a buzzing or whatever you experience. And now turn your palms up and just hold them up. And I'm going to share my screen again so you can see this next image here. Just continue holding this state. So we're going to move into this four-gate breathing now. And you can see if you look at the dot at the center of the hand and the dot at the center of the foot. These are energy gates. In the palm, it's the Lao Gong point, and it's as though you can slightly hold your hand like a little hollow, like you're creating a little well for that energy center. And in the soles of the feet, I love the name of this point. This is the first point of our kidney meridian. It's called the bubbling spring. And from this point in the foot, feel as though you grow a root down into the ground like the root of a tree. And tree roots have multiple purposes. One purpose is to create stability. So as you send your energy down through that root, you're creating structural stability and energetic stability for your body. But the tree root also draws up nutrients, like it's pulling it up through a straw, and it pulls it right up through your bones, right up through your spinal cord. It fills your kidneys, which is like part of our energy battery. And it continues up into your brain. So try to feel that for a moment, just focusing on the feet, focusing on the bubbling spring. Inhale, feel the breath come into your belly. And exhale, bring awareness to the bubbling spring points. Now the palm, that's the end point of what's called our pericardium meridian, which is the heart protector. It's the bag around the heart. So those points on your hands connect directly into the hug around your heart. Breathe in, feel the breath come into your belly and into your chest. And as you breathe out, radiate through the palm of your hands. Now continue this breathing, feeling all four gates, experiencing the flow of energy. Imagine the palms are like the leaves on a tree, collecting the sunlight to bring the nutrition to the rest of the plant, all the way down to the roots. And imagine the soles of the feet are the roots deep in the ground, drawing nutrition up through the rest of the plant, all the way out through the leaves. And now bring the arms up to the sides and take the energy from your hands and reflect it down like a funnel into the crown of the head. And feel the channel of energy from the top of the head down through the spine towards the floor of the pelvis and the tailbone, meeting with the energy that's coming up from the earth, mixing in your energy centers and offering energy wherever it needs to go. You don't even need to decide. Your body has the intelligence. And then slowly scan the hands downwards. It's like you're clearing the channel, flushing the pipes, clearing away anything you don't need, and allowing the chi to meander into any spaces that it needs to be. And place your hands on your low belly, one over the other, crossing at your thumbs. And then slowly let this state dissolve and open your eyes. And I do see the question here to take off the slide. I apologize. I left it. Okay. I left it on there just so people could see those energy points. So we're off the screen share now. Is that true? Okay. Oh, good. I'm so glad that that was enjoyable for people. So that's chi, folks. That's chi. And that's how easy it is to access it. I've done it, sitting in the car waiting for my kids to get out of school or standing in line at the grocery store. You can give yourself an infusion of chi anytime you want to. And can you feel the shift that that made in your nervous system? I think it's really important to recognize how simple it is to, once you learn how to tune in, how simple it is to tune in and make a little shift right away. Okay, I'm going to move back to the slides now. Unless anyone else has questions or comments, I don't want to rush ahead if people have things to share. I do want us to feel like community here, even though we're a big group. Okay, and I'm going to go back to the sharing. We're going to move into the next slide. Oh, I feel great, guys. I was a little anxious with all this tech stuff that I'm coordinating, and why didn't I remind myself to do that right before we started? It feels great. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about the mind-body connection and stress. So I mentioned before something called psychoneuroimmunology. So this is the science of the mind-body connection. I love this work. There's a ton of incredible research going on in this field right now where people are learning how much our beliefs and our emotions affect our biology and our chemistry. So I want to share with you one particular cell biologist, a man named Bruce Lipton, Dr. Bruce Lipton, who's done extensive study with the mind-body connection. He started as just a regular cell biologist, your typical, biology teacher at a university, and researcher. And he started to feel like there were some missing links and some questions in some of their assumptions. So he did an experiment that he discusses, one of his first experiments that made him really understand about genetics. This is the big idea. Now, I have a cancer gene. Maybe some of you have a cancer gene too. So it makes us feel like, well, how am I going to get rid of cancer? Or how am I not going to get cancer? I have a cancer gene. The thing is, a very low percentage of our diseases are actually genetic. More of them have to do with the interrelationship between our genes and our environment, whether it's our inner environment, like our inner chemistry, or our outer environment, like what we're exposed to, or the life experiences, or physical things like toxins or something like that. And that's a field called epigenetics. So the questions coming up in that field made him want to do some research. So he took a single cell, and I guess I don't know much about cell biology and their research, but he put it in a petri dish until it divided, same cell, into 30,000 cells. And then he took those 30,000 cells and he split them into 3 separate dishes. And one grew into, I may be paraphrasing, one grew into muscle tissue, one grew into skin tissue, one grew into bone tissue. So he says, how does that happen? It's the same cell divided. It should have the same DNA, it's the same genetic makeup. The difference is what he put in each of those petri dishes, the substrate, what it was that, what the environment that the cell was growing in. So he goes on to describe that our body is really just a skin-covered petri dish. So even if we have the DNA that's telling our cells to replicate in a certain way, the chemistry, the chemicals that we are bathing our cells in are what dictate what those cells become. So if you're constantly bathing your cells in cortisol, which is a stress hormone, you're going to grow a certain way. If you're constantly bathing them in oxytocin, which is the love and gratitude hormone, the same cells would behave in a different way. So the idea here is that our emotions, they affect our immune function and our nervous system health. So we know that, our immune system is part of our cancer experience. Okay. And our immune system is also linked in with our nervous system. So this is also something that I'm going to truncate here because I had to take a slide out that I'm again wishing that I could share. So I'm at least going to recap it a little bit. Our nervous system, our autonomic nervous system, it has two main components. So our autonomic nervous system is like our automatic nervous system. It's our the stuff we don't really have to think about, our heartbeat, our blood pressure, our breathing. It's stuff that just happens automatically, different than our motor nerves that tell us how and where to move. So it's split into two parts. We've got the sympathetic nervous system. We've got the parasympathetic nervous system. Our sympathetic nervous system is our fight and flight. That's where our adrenaline and our cortisol and our stress hormones happen. When we're in a fight or flight state, our immune system is inhibited. We're not spending time doing repair or fighting our inner battles. We're prepared for our outer battles. Our parasympathetic nervous system, that is our rest, digest, regenerate. And that is when our breathing slows down, our heart rate slows down, our immune function increases, our inflammatory function decreases. We're taking everything away from our muscles. We're bringing the blood back. They'd say they're bringing the blood back to be restored. So when we live in a state of constant stress, which our lives are quite stressful for a variety of different reasons, and if we don't know how to turn that stress off, then we are constantly inhibiting the regeneration and the immune functioning. And fortunately, this Qigong practice has been proven to be a tremendous nervous system support. So I'm going to share a little bit of that right now. So there's been a decent amount of research so far on the benefits of Qigong for cancer. And the research is split into two different types. I think I can describe it as two different types. So one type is where they have a Qigong master that is acting on the tumor. And they are showing results of using Qi to actually reduce tumor size and reduce metastasis, reduce the spread of tumors. And there's been some interesting research both at Harvard that they did really between 2006 and 2010, several different studies, as well as at MD Anderson Cancer Center that is showing this. Now, these studies are done in a petri dish and in a rodent or something. They don't do these kinds of tests on humans, at least not yet. But the tests that they do with human models are looking at the effects of Qigong on side effects and support during care. So what they did find in this list that I gave you right here is improvement of quality of life. These were all measurable. And what I'm sharing with you here are the results of meta-analyses or where they have to do a grouping because a lot of these studies are very small sample sizes. Maybe a hospital has 30 participants for a 6-week study. So people will do a systematic review where they will take several of those studies and pool the data to see if they can get some interest on where to do the next studies. So what they did discover here is huge improvement in quality of life. All the things I'm describing here were considered statistically significant findings, which is what they're looking for when you're doing research studies that are, able to be published. Immune biomarkers improved, inflammatory biomarkers decreasing. Sleep quality improves. And this one's a biggie. There were several on cancer-related fatigue. I was really excited to see all of that stuff because cancer-related fatigue is no joke. I mean, a lot of us are just floored by the end of the day or floored for, one day you might feel fine and then the next day you're just done for. So knowing that the Qigong practice helps that, I can vouch for that. It's extremely helpful. And then the nervous system regulation that we just talked about there. And I hope I shared with you how important that nervous system regulation is, because it truly changes your chemistry and it changes how all of your body functions. And we're getting close now to the end of this part. I've got just a little bit more to share with you in the slides. And then we're going to be taking a 5-minute break where we will stand up. So I'll switch around if you want to take a bathroom break, and then we will stand up and we will continue in with our practice. So we're going to do a little practice for energy, for calming, and for healing. And this practice is going to share our 5-element theory. We're going to do certain practices that are going to open up each of the 5 elements, and we're going to do a meditation intended to harmonize those elements. And then, of course, I'd like to invite you to join our upcoming workshop series, which you would get information from White Tiger about. And then I want to take a moment just to talk about integrating Qigong principles into your everyday life. So what we did today, very simply, where we talked about balancing and harmonizing, taking a simple moment at any point of your day to open up and take in Qi. Okay, I'm going to tell you this. It is ideal to do a daily practice. I have 4 kids. I'm a working mom. Realistically, I wish I did, but I don't get to it every day. So I'm just, a regular person. Of course, I'm a Qigong practitioner. I've been doing this for probably 25 years. It's been part of my life, and I have found a way to make it part of my life. So most days I do, as soon as I get out of bed, I do a little something. And then throughout the day, I check in with myself a little bit more. The most important thing you can do, especially when you're coping with cancer, I don't want you to put pressure on yourself. Perhaps you've had this experience, as I've had as well, where some very well-meaning social worker or doctor encourages me to engage in self-care, or that I need to address my stress. And there's nothing more stressful than someone telling you you have to reduce your stress. I mean, at least that's my experience. I don't want to speak for you. But for me, it's very stressful for someone to tell me that stress is my problem. And I don't want to do that to you. So I'm not going to tell you that stress is your problem and that you have to do these things to reduce it. I'm going to invite you to find any way in your life that you can seek moments of presence, of balance and acceptance. And then my job is to offer you these simple tools, like the ones we just did a few moments ago. So, in those moments where you say, I'm going to take a pause, that you have a tool at the ready. So, you can take a pause and you can do Qigong in any space that you create for your own self at any time. Here's what we're going to do for the practice, and then I'm going to turn off the screen share and we're going to take a break. We're going to do a warm-up, which is going to involve opening the joints, an exercise called spinal cord breathing, and then something called opening the 8 nests, which has to do with lymphatic flow, very important for our cancer journey. We're going to do 4 exercises that address the 5 elements, and then we're going to close with a meditation called Inner Harmony, which is to balance the 5 elements. I'm going to stop the share right now, and I'm going to send you off on a little break. I'm going to turn off my camera and my microphone, and I'm going to reset my space. But real quick, does anyone have any questions before I step away? I'll open up the chat to see.
There's just one in the chat,
Mhm.
Jen, from the earlier exercises about which hand first comes in contact with the belly.
Okay, so that's a good question, because there historically is a male and female, where for females, it's the right hand and the left hand on top. For male, it's the left and the right over the top. And that said, my personal belief about gender is that I don't choose to dictate the male or female per se, and I don't know that it makes a tremendous amount of difference. So I will say put your hands where they're comfortable, but the tradition is for female, it's right hand with the left on top, and for male, it's the left with the right on top.
Great,
All
thank
right.
you. The other question that has
Yeah.
come up repeatedly is if everyone will get a copy of the recording.
I do know that it's being recorded and that White Tiger, well, I'm going to check with them and make sure that you all get an email. I think everybody signed up because there are a lot of people signed up from all over the world that this time of day was not going to work for them. So I know that they are going to follow up by sharing it, whether they're posting it on the White Tiger site for all the attendees or whether they're sending you the Zoom link. I'm not sure, but I will make sure to follow up with White Tiger to make sure everybody gets the copy. Okay, anything else?
There is a question about Qigong versus Tai Chi, but maybe just we'll move to the break and get involved and you can cover that as we go through.
Yeah, really the bottom line is that it's all great. Qigong, I think Qigong is more the umbrella. And from what I learned in my tradition is that Qigong speaks to Tai Chi, and Tai Chi is one of the forms, one of the sets of forms of a Qi-based practice. All right, so I'm gonna hop off and reset, and I will see you guys in 5 minutes. Test. I'm testing the microphone because I switched my microphone. So hi, welcome everybody. I'm hoping you guys can hear me. I'm just going to have my
Perfect.
professional over here testing me as well. So you guys can all hear me fine? Can you see me okay as well? Okay. Is everyone muted? Okay, great. All right. So I'm going to start standing, but I have a stool by me too, because we're going to do some of this practice with seated. And I know we're short on time. So I will probably go a little bit long. And if anybody has to get off, that's fine. You'll get the recording and I won't be offended. But I'm going to probably take a little extra time because I know that I went over on the stuff that I wanted to share. So let's just give ourselves another little shake just to get back in our bodies again. Just wake it all up again a little bit. And now we'll take a couple of simple cleansing breaths just to bring the energy back in and down into the body. So just inhale, bring your arms up to the sides. And then as you exhale, allowing the energy to sink in, settle in, and become present. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale and exhale. And 1 more time. Now we're going to start opening up our joints. We're going to start with the feet and ankles. So if your chair's nearby and you need to hold on for balance, you can do that. Just start by gently picking up one foot and just slowly circle the ankle. All we're trying to do here is lubricate the joint. If you're hearing cracks and crinkles, you might be going too hard. I want you to think about lubricating, like you're just waxing the surfaces of the joint. Switch directions. Our joints are all like energy gates. We want to allow them to flow. So we're simply going to move up each gate to open up all these channels. Let's do the other foot. And sometimes this is just what I do when I wake up in the morning, just this warm up part, if I don't have time for anything else. Let's go the other way. And bring that down. We'll move up to the knees. So bring your feet together and place your hands. So the thumbs are on the inside of the knee and the fingers on the outside. Just a couple times, just glide the knees. And now we're going to start circling around in the knee joints here. And this might be quite small. Again, plunks. Maybe you're going a little bit too big. I'm going to show you from the sides because I'm sort of dropping down. If it's really stiff, it might just be like this. Remember, we're just waxing the surfaces of the joints. As it gets looser, you might end up going a little lower. Now switch directions. Do 2 more. Okay, we'll move our way up into the hips. So open the feet a little wider than your shoulders. We're going to bend the knees. This is a Qigong stance called Zhangzhuan or Wuji. This is like our resting stance, our standing posture. There's work to it. You're at rest, but you're still alert and active. And sometimes they say sit, but don't sit. So you see how I'm not going like this or like this. It's just a little drop, like you're in a nice bouncy, comfortable position. So we're going to go to that position. You can have your hands by your sides, or if it's okay for your shoulders, you can put your hands on your sacrum and your low back. We're just going to circle the hip joints here. So picture the ball and socket of your hips, and we're lubricating the hip joints. As we do this, we're also waking up the belt meridian or the girdle vessel, which is the meridian that goes around the waist. And let's switch directions. If nothing else, every day, move all your joints. Move all your joints and move your spine in all directions every day. Let's do 3, 2, 1. Okay, now we're going to move this into the spine. So we're going to do what's called knocking on the door of life. This little spot here behind the navel, there's a little space between these vertebrae here. This is an energy point called the Mingmen, or the door of life, or the gate of vitality. So if you picture like your navel is like your nutritive umbilical cord, source point. This Mingmen is like your energetic umbilical cord. And it gets tight over time. And we want to have that soft and open. So we're going to swing the arms, and the hands are just going to land lightly. Start with your head looking forward, so you're not beginning with the neck, but you're beginning letting the arms swing. And one knocks on your abdomen and one knocks lightly on your back. Just a nice, gentle motion. Notice how I'm not swaying side to side. I'm keeping my central axis straight. If, as you warm up, your head wants to turn, that's fine. But you can keep your head forward, and you can keep it small. Picture the lumbar vertebrae gently turning on each other. Let's just do a few more. And finish that moment. Now let's start gliding the shoulder blades around. The shoulder blades have a sort of a fatty fascia that is between the bone of the shoulder blade and the rib cage. And it's kind of oily. It's meant to slide, or it's called a gliding plane, and it's meant to slide around your rib cage. So picture that your shoulder blades are simply like a sponge, sponging along the surface of your rib cage. And along with it, your collarbones begin to move. Let's go the other direction. The meridians that run from the arms through the chest and the neck, they require a little freedom in the collarbone and shoulder blade, so there's no constriction in the fascia that prevents the flow. Let's do a couple more here. And now bring your fingertips to your shoulders, and we're going to circle the elbow joints. So now we're circling the ball and socket. So we're waxing the surfaces, lubricating the surfaces of the shoulder joint itself. Switch directions. And now we'll move to the elbow joints. So start with the backs of your hands together. And the idea here is like you have magnetic bracelets. So some part of your wrist is going to stay touching the whole time. You're going to bring your hands towards you, and they're going to circle around. Sometimes this takes just a little coordination. So if you ever find yourself in an exercise that requires, it's a little challenging, it requires that brain connection, take it lightly, laugh about it, and enjoy the idea of learning something new, giving your nervous system something new. Let's switch directions now. Three, two, one. Now turn your palms so they face each other and interlace your fingers. Now lightly weave the wrists. It's a figure eight kind of motion. So one's on top, then the other's on top. This is great if you've been typing or driving for a long time. Now here's a little brain challenge, reverse. You know, novel experiences are really good for your brain. And that means like trying something new, taking something on that your brain has to figure out. It's really good for you, grows your brain. Let's do a few more times. Good. And now let the arms come down by your sides, and we're going to move into the neck. So we're going to do gentle circles with the neck. The basic circle is to imagine that your chin is simply drawing circles on the window in front of you. So start this small. Depending on your posture, depending on the flexibility of your neck, if your back is kind of rounded and your head's a little forward and you try to go all the way back, you're going to be damaging the discs. So we just do this, and then eventually perhaps it'll start to get bigger and your head can roll all the way around. If you're finding that you can go bigger, the chest drops in as your head comes down a little, and the chest lifts up as your head goes back. But I do want you to go nice and slow. And we'll do one more time this direction. Nice and slow. And now we'll go the other way. Remember, you can make it really small. Let's do one more. Good. Now bring your hands up like you're drawing the energy up through the soles of your feet, through your spinal cord. Make fists with your hands. We're going to inhale, open up your chest. Stick your tail back just a little bit. Lift your chest to the sky. And then exhale, we're going to round the spine. We're going to pull the tail in and drop your head and squeeze out all your air. This is called spinal cord breathing. Now notice I'm not like this where my hips went backwards. I want your tailbone to come forward slightly and your chest to become concave. Inhale, open, and exhale. And imagine sending the energy up and down your spine. I picture it like mercury in an old thermometer, just rising and falling. Energy moving up and down. Let's do 3 more. And 2. And 1. And then as we come up, let the hands come down. Now we're going to open the 8 nests. Whenever we move our lymphatic system around, we want to open up the channel. The last stop of the lymph before it moves to the heart is here by the thoracic ducts. So we want to open that up first. Just give a little tap to your breastbone. Gentle tap to the breastbone. And now, right where the collarbones meet your breastbone, now I have a port here, maybe you saw it before, so I don't tap on that side, but just give a little tap where I do it really lightly with my fingertips. And then lightly just go from your ear towards your neck. Just the lymph is very surface. So even a feather light touch can help open that up. Now we're going to lift up the left arm first. So make sure you're on the left side because we start with the side of the heart. We're going to go into the armpit here. I'm just tapping into the armpit and into the side of the body a little bit. Now we could do this for much longer. I'm certainly doing a short version of this. Now the inner elbow. The nests are where we have the lymphatic concentrations. Now, down the back of the arm a little bit, and then brush like you're wiping off the back of the arm, and then a light brush, feather light brush from the inner elbow through the lymph nodes towards your heart, guiding the lymph to the heart. Let's do the right side now. Right arm up. Into the side of the rib cage a little bit. Inner elbow. Back of the arm. And brush down the back of the arm. And then a really light, feather light, guiding the chi towards your heart. Now we'll do the lower body lymph nodes. So open the legs a little bit. And right here, we've got a concentration of lymph nodes we're going to sync. So we're going to use a soft blade of the hand and just gently here, nothing too hard. We're just opening up the energy here. Certainly, anywhere you've had surgeries, be gentle. Don't do anything that hurts ever. Now, the backs of the knees. Now, knocking the side of the leg, depending on your flexibility, maybe you stop here or you can get down. And then a light brush up from the inner thighs, up into the abdomen, up towards the heart. Just one more. And now make the belly just a little taut. You're going to knock on the belly. We have a huge concentration of lymphatic vessels in the belly. So right now I'm just on either side of the navel. Then I'm going to go just a little wider, up and down. And then a little like chopping the sides. And you tighten a little against it. So it's almost like you bounce off. And now light brushing towards your heart. And now finish that with a light neck. And I know this is a noble ancient practice, but I can't help to call this grease lightning. And just bring it down. Bring the energy down. This is chi shower. Let's do it one more time to each side. That's the end of the warm-up part. Let's inhale. And let's exhale. Next, we're going to open the heart, the sky. So let's bring your hands to your heart for a moment. Our fire element. The emotion of our heart is joy. Take a moment to feel the joy and to release hatred or overexcitement. Let's bring the hands together and bring them forward. Now, our heart meridian extends to the pinky fingers, so we're going to open the arms. We're going to spin them backwards, lift the chest, and open the heart to the sky, stretching, wringing out that meridian. And then we bring the arms down. They're going to wrap around as we squeeze the heart. And if it's possible, you're going to rise up onto your toes, engaging the calf muscles. And then we drop. We inhale, open again. And then we exhale. Slow and smooth. Drawing in joy. Releasing any overexcitement. Now just open the arm and gather the energy back into your heart, holding the hands over the heart. And feel the heart radiating joy like a sun shining onto your entire inner landscape. Let the hands come down. Next, we're going to do an exercise to open the liver and the spleen, which is our wood and our earth. So we're going to interlace the fingers and we're going to draw the energy up again. And you picture like you're pulling a stake up out of the earth. Draw up. As you get towards the face, you're going to turn your hands so your palms face upwards. Now, if your shoulders are restricted, you may find a stopping point. If they're not, they may continue to extend. And then you rise all the way up onto your toes, if that's possible. If not, just visualize it and then land down. Now we're going to bend to the right where we squeeze the liver. Push the right foot down and really wring out the liver. Come back to the center. Float up again. And back down. And we go to your left side where we squeeze out the spleen, push the left foot down, and feel a strong wringing out sensation of the organ right under the diaphragm there, under the rib cage. Back to the center, and the arms open and they float down lightly as though they're floating on clouds. I'm going to repeat that 2 more times. Interlace your fingers, draw the energy up, turn your palms, and perhaps we float up and then sink down to the right, wringing it out. We come up and down to the left, wringing it out, and back to the center. And the arms float back down. One more time. Gather the energy up from the earth. Rising up and down. The liver is associated with anger, but also gratitude and benevolence, patience. Up. The spleen is associated with worry and anxiety, but also trust and nurturing. Back to the center. And let the arms float back down. Now we're going to do holding the kidneys, 2 hands hold the kidneys, it's called. So we're going to draw the energy up again, but this time they're not interlaced. So this is our kidney, our earth element. Our water element. So we're going to draw the energy up like we're drawing the water up into the roots and into the trunk of the tree. And as you get around your collarbones, you're going to turn your palms and you're going to reach upwards. Now, we're going to forward bend. And I want to tell you how to do this safely. So classically, you would have your legs stay straight. But the important part is that I want your spine to stay straight. So if that means you bend your knees and send your hips backwards, that's what I'd like you to do. You can also do it sitting in a chair. We'll hang all the way down. Hold your elbows for a moment and relax your neck. And then slide your hands up the inner legs as you roll up, right up where the inseam of your pants is. That's where our kidney meridian runs. And then bring your hands to your kidneys. Now, if you're limited in your back bend, it's going to look something like this, where you're just going to lift your chest up. But we're going to bend the knees a little. We're going to engage our glute muscles. And we're going to lift the chest and deeply stretch the front of the body just as far as is comfortable for you today. And then we're going to come back up and let the arms slide down. We're going to do that 2 more times. Draw the energy up. We turn the palms. And we raise heaven. And then we come forward with a long spine. And the ancients say, long spine, long life. Long life for all of us. Hold your elbows for a moment and breathe into the kidneys. And then as we roll up, we slide the hands up. We hold the kidneys, activate your glute muscles, activate the muscles of your bottom, lift up your chest, and back bend. Cradle your kidneys in your hands. And we come back up. We'll do this one more time. Begin with a sinking and then a drawing up, like a suction. Turning the palms and raising heaven, holding heaven with 2 hands. And then we come forward. Let your spine feel gravity make space between each vertebra as you hold your elbows. And then as we roll up, the hands slide up the inner thighs. Come around to the kidneys. Activate through the glutes. Lift the chest. And we come up. And now inhale, let the arms float up. And exhale. Bring them down. Now, without losing your state, we're going to transition to a seated position. And I know that right now it's the time that we're expected to end, so feel free if you need to go, it's fine. But place your hands on your heart if you're still here. And feel the heart, the fire element. Love, joy, compassion. Perhaps you want to massage. Each organ, it's like it's all part of a symphony. Each section of a symphony. So our goal with this meditation is to make them all play in harmony. So we feel that fire burning. And the fire burns to create the ash, which nourishes the soil. So let's come down to the left side. That's our spleen, our earth. The fire nourishes the earth. Look inwards to the spleen, to your earth element, releasing worry and drawing in trust and nurturing. And allow that feeling of trust and nurturing to bathe your cells. You might need to remember a time where you felt that experience and allow that feeling to rush into every cell of your body. And as we dig down into the earth, we find the metal, and that's our lung. So bring your hands up to your lung. The lungs are like the tall mountain peaks, mountains rich with ore, rich with metal. And the emotion associated with the lung is grief, but also courage and dignity and transformation. Allow yourself to release grief and fill all your cells, bathe your cells in courage. And the mountain peaks, the metal attracts the moisture to create the clouds around the tops of the mountains. And it pours down along the sides, streaming down into mountain streams. That brings us to our water. Bring your hands to your kidneys and massage your kidneys, our water element. The kidneys are associated with fear, but also with safety, with peace, with calm. Look to your kidneys and bathe yourselves in calm and peace. And then the water nourishes the wood. So we bring the hands up to the liver, to our wood element associated with anger, but also with gratitude, with benevolence, compassion. And then the wood burns to nourish the fire. We've made our way back again. So let's run through it. The fire, feel the joy. Down to the left to the spleen, feeling the trust. Moving up to the lungs, feeling the courage. And back to the kidneys, feeling the peace. And the water nourishes the wood and our liver to the right side, feeling the gratitude. And that wood burns. We come back to the fire in the heart. Just take a moment here to feel all of your organs humming, vibrating in perfect harmony, sending energy and circulation through all of your channels and extending beyond your body into the space around you. And now slowly bring your hands down to your lower belly to store this energy we cultivated today and to thank yourself for showing up here. And as you're ready, allow this state to dissolve and you can open your eyes. Thank you all for those of you who stuck around. I will still spend a few moments here in the Q&A if you need to. I'm so grateful and I hope to get to continue. I'm here. If you have questions, feel free to send out any questions or requests to White Tiger and I'll be able to respond to you. I'm going to stop the recording now, but I'm going to leave the room open for conversation.